Welcome to Lies You Can Trust, my beautiful freedom loving friend, where we like to pull back the veil of deception to expose what's really going on in the world to help spread the light of truth and freedom. Because I do believe that all the most beautiful things in life that make life worth living come from freedom, and truth is the key that opens the door to freedom. You can't have one without the other. That's my opinion. So, I hope you've been having a good week, man. If there's if you didn't have enough of them, man, there's some more good reasons coming up why you should go back to college, get a get a good degree in domestic terrorism. I've been wanting to enroll in Columbia. I want to go to all the schools actually, get a PhD in domestic terrorism. So we'll talk about how there's now reason number 100, or I'm sorry, 1197 of why not to go to college, why not to spend the most amount of money to give your kids the worst education, because for the most part it appears to me they don't get an education, they get an indoctrination. What'd you get your PhD in? Ah, I got indoctrinated in communism, and I'm kind of like a PhD at this point. That's why we're shutting down the campus to free Palestine. How does that work? Well, because I believe the dean of this college has direct jurisdiction over Gaza, and he's been refusing to free Palestine. Our college dean. Great, great. It takes a very bright light bulb to see that that's how Law and Order works. That's great. So we'll get into some of that. There's been some new twists in that whole plot. You'll never guess who's funding all the. Uh, yeah, I mean, they're not protests at this point. They started off that way, very nefariously, inorganically organized, I might add. But I would dare say, yeah, it's I don't know, just criminal situation. Like, I don't think you and I can go into a college campus and be like, this building's ours now. Nobody else can come in. Oh, he's Jewish. He definitely can't come in. I don't think we can do that unless it's your property. I don't know. Maybe I've just gotten too Texan. So we'll get into some interesting twists, and especially who's funding that is very interesting. We're also going to show you. We have exclusive footage that I found from someone else that I had never seen before. So we're calling it exclusive footage of the Kennedy assassination. You'll be shocked if this is real, and I took 2 minutes to validate that it's might be real. It's truly shocking. So I'm gonna look forward to taking a look at that with you, because I don't want to make this all about like, look how fucking idiotic these college students are. We'll take some time on that. We'll take a look at some funny stuff. I keep looking for the paper in the wrong spot. I found it. And we'll also be excited to see that, for firsthand footage of illegal immigrants flying commercially without IDs. Do you know that's impossible for you being a legal citizen? Because, like, if you're a legal citizen, then you have to abide by the legal parameters. But I guess how things are trying to work now is, well, if you're here illegally, then you can just do everything else illegally too. So laws, please don't be burdened by those. We realize they're oppressive, and we'll also make it illegal for anyone to call you illegal. That's how it's going. But before we get into it all in this really important world premiere, we're live in Moscow right now. Is that how you say it? Moscow? Moscow? We're there to bring you this show, not about Moscow. Well, I want to check in with you. I'll share. I see, by the way, a bunch of y'all in the chat. Thank you. Big Badass Andy on for he's been on more of these shows than me, and I'm so grateful for it. Um, Mitch Steincock. I believe that's not your real name, but I think it's a funny username. Thank you for being on. Um, oh, and Limited Access says, just so you know, JP, Russell Brand's live today is being throttled and prematurely ended. I assume that would be a portion of his live going to YouTube. It would be, I would say, unless there's a technical possibility, impossible that anyone would intentionally make that happen on Rumble. So, but I know he sometimes streams first part of his show to YouTube. So interesting. I'd be curious what he was talking about. I saw the thumbnail of it, which looked intriguing. I didn't read it. I just saw like, ooh, that's a good thumbnail. Also in the news, Russell Brand got baptized over this weekend. That seems like he should have done OnlyFans first. Right? There's definitely a trend of women who make $10 million on OnlyFans, and they're like, now I found Jesus, and you should listen to me. Why do you have to document your whole salvation on social media? God told me to, because it'll inspire others. None of the money I made mattered to me on OnlyFans. Yeah, it's easy for you because you have $10 million from it. A lot of women are. I'm just saying, Russell Brand should have been on OnlyFans first. But that's amazing. I think Russell Brand's great, and I would imagine his um, path into Christianity has been very genuine, very intentional. I know he is a super well thought out person. I know he comes from a big like new age spirituality background like myself. And sounds like he's like not kept himself in that box, much the same way as I am trying to do. I was baptized when I was a baby. I didn't really assign much meaning to it. I have thought about getting rebaptized as an adult. I don't know if I was going to say, I don't know, is that frowned upon? But also then I was going to say, I don't care if people frown upon it. If I want to do it, I will. Now that Russell Brand has done it, I'm definitely going to do it because I saw he got good publicity from it. JP, do you ever think that's because he's more famous than you and people care about him more? Nope, never considered that. But I'll share with you this past weekend. I had a great time in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Wonderful time at the comedy shows, great crowds. I had, I think my favorite show of the weekend would have been Friday night. Just, I don't know, there was just like a lot of spontaneity happening there. I loved them all. And I really appreciate all y'all, Tulsa, Oklahomos, for coming out. Really appreciate you. And man, Tulsa, y'all actually need climate change. You need more climate change there. Just there were tornado watches the whole time I was there. Sometimes tornado warnings. Still did the show. Yeah, the show must go on. And then elsewhere in like I guess further away parts of Oklahoma and Nebraska, tornadoes got like really severe. I believe, unfortunately, deadly. So I'm grateful that I survived Tulsa. But I think if we can usher in more climate change into Tulsa, you'll have less tornadoes, you know. Also, I think great things about climate change. Warmer in the winter, cooler in the summer. I think it's really all upside. I wish it was real, and I wish we had more of it. So that was my weekend. It was great. Also, something you will definitely not care about, probably make you click off, and I'm definitely still going to tell you. In Tulsa during the day, couple of the days collectively, I got in about 12 games of pickleball. Yep, I'm telling you about pickleball. My friend and opening comedian Jeff Zenisek, he's a former national champion tennis player, super good. His skills carry right over to pickleball. I lost 100% of the game, still had a great time. It was really windy for pickleball, but we still had a great time. So Tulsa was amazing, and now I am super, what am I trying to say? Super underslept over the past week, but that's okay. My little boy woke me up 3 different times last night, and my dog woke me up once. It's like, fine. Apparently, I'm nocturnal tonight. That's fine. This has no caffeine in it. I wish it did. So let's get into it. Now that this has just been, we're building rapport here. We're warming each other up, aren't we? Kind of foreplay, intellectual foreplay without the intellectualism. I I don't know what I mean by that. We're just talking. That's what we've been doing. So let's take a look at a couple things. What do we got here? So starting with a few things that made me anywhere from laugh to just smile the past week, because I think we all need to smile more and laugh more. This is uh, this is great. Scoot this over a little bit. All right, so check out this headline. Uh, by the way, this woman looks like the type of woman this article would be about. Birth strikers meet the women who refuse to have children until climate change ends. But the funny part is the caption from Dr. Eli David. Some good news. Evolution working as it should. And now, before we go on, if you're a parent like me, you, well, oh, did I not put that in there? What an idiot. Okay. Well, then my little lead into that doesn't really matter. It doesn't matter. Because it doesn't matter. Take two. Roll the teleprompter back. So, next thing. I think this kind of summarizes a lot of what's going on from Dave Brown. Liberals. If we could just jail Trump, get rid of MAGA, and end the Electoral College, stack the Supreme Court, ban voter ID, and censor free speech, we could save democracy. Yep, all of those things are being done in the name of democracy. I think it's healthy to first question who's doing that in the name of democracy. And second, do your own thinking. But after my thinking, I stop questioning it and say, no, I think they're the ones trying to end democracy. It's a little bit scary. Then I saw this. There is absolutely nothing funny about this, but it's just like a great summary of the cycle of communism. Aim to establish a new communist utopia. Don't look around at college campuses right now. Don't look around at downtown cities. Don't look around at government-sponsored censorship, because none of this is happening. You know, this would never happen here. But in places, they would try to establish a communist utopia. And then the second part, rob or kill the successful. Yeah, they do that. Force the rest to work for free. Next step, run out of food. I wonder why Stalin, Soviet Union, Maoist China, why tens of millions of people starved to death. Why if we had 112 food processing plants burned down and they killed several million chickens in the name of preventing bird flu? Okay. So run out of food, then starve to death. That's great. Say it wasn't real communism, and then try it again. It'll probably work next time. And then this, I saw this for the first time, I guess probably 2 years ago, but it's been recirculating, and I think it's something you and I need to see together. Study shows kids who are homeschooled kids can miss out on the opportunity to be a gay communist. Now, here's what I like about what's going on. A lot of talk about communism the past week. Now, it's something I've been talking about for years. I just won't shut up about it. Like you might be annoyed by it. But just like call it the Twitter cycle. I wouldn't even say the news cycle, because that implies a little too much corporate news. They wouldn't talk about it. But like the stuff like the we the people kind of people are saying on Twitter and Instagram. Past week, I have seen more direct mentions about communism than I have like in a normal week, which I like. Not because I like communism, but because I like awareness of it. Like it happens when people don't know it's happening. So I love that, just cool. A lot of people are kind of dusting off their vision and saying what they're seeing. Next up. Okay, yeah. So there's a little clip of Jerry Seinfeld. Now, he's not going to say anything too earth shattering here, but I still think it's worth a listen before we get into who really killed JFK, world premiere footage. And one of the things I like about this clip is he's obviously a Hollywood guy, yet in this, and I don't know Seinfeld personally, so I can't say how Hollywood, but yeah, he's one of the best shows ever from Hollywood, most successful. And he's speaking some truths here about what the left has been doing, and I really appreciate it coming from a voice like Seinfeld. Now, if it's you and I talking about it, we'd probably be a little bit more edgy with our words, but still, I think this is a win in the name of raising awareness of truth to an audience, whoever the hell listens to this radio hour show by New Yorker. Actually, whoever listens to this is probably the audience that needs to hear it. So let's take a quick listen to what Jerry Seinfeld is saying is happening to comedy.
Nothing really affects comedy. People always need it. They need it so badly, and they don't get it. It used to be you would go home at the end of the day. Most people would go, oh, Cheers is on. Oh, MASH is on. Oh, Mary Tyler Moore is on. All in the Family's on. You just expected there'll be some funny stuff we can watch on TV tonight. Well, guess what? Where is it? This is the result of the extreme left and PC crap and people worrying so much about offending other people. Mm-hmm. When you write a script and it goes into 4 or 5 different hands, committees, groups, here's our thought about this joke, well, that's the end of your comedy. They move the gates like in skiing. Yeah. Culture, the gates are moving. Your job is to be agile and clever enough that wherever they put the gates, I'm going to make the gate.
I think that says it very well. Wherever the PC gatekeepers put the gate of what you can and cannot say, you make the gate. I don't know, really understand that analogy because, like, why would you go to their gate? But you basically you're not restricted by what they're wanting you to not say. And I think Dave Chappelle, he does that better than anybody else. Now, lastly, before we move along, get to who really killed Kennedy, you've seen a lot of footage of pro-Palestine protesters. Some of them are kind of carrying on certain traditions that some Nazi soldiers carried on. It's just what's happening at colleges is absurd. There's been countless colleges closed down, in-person classes. I think I saw Cal Poly just canceled all classes until the fall. It's just nuts. And calling them protesters at this point, it's a very generous name to give them. But they've taken over buildings, locked out staff, trashed the buildings, graffiti, just destroyed the insides of these things. It's anarchy. Now, in a little bit, we'll get to who's funding this. So and that'll make it clear there are directly paid actors being at these protests to orchestrate it. And then you get a copycat effect. People get on board. Their morality is weaponized. Like, this is like destroying this building. It means we're the good guys. Okay, well, I think I'm a good person. Okay, let's destroy the building. So that happens. And a lot of these people, sheep just going along with the herd, which, by the way, in a young age, if you're in college, you might feel like you're old. That's because you're the oldest you've ever been. But once you're older, you'll look back at being college age and say, like, dude, I was still a kid. So with this, like, post-high school age group, one of the more important things in their psychological life is to get a sense of belonging. So it makes sense why they would be more sheep-like and much more susceptible to do heinous things just in the name of 2 things. One, getting a sense of belonging. Like, put yourself on a college campus, look at a mass of protesters, like all thinking we're the good guys, they're doing radical things. And imagine standing up and saying, no, I don't like what you're doing. Like how it take a lot of courage for an adult to do it. And if you're an adult, I certainly hope you would have that courage. And that's a tall ask for a young person to have. So there's a clip I want to show you. I just saw it today of one of these kids just going along with the herd at a, pro-Palestine, like end the war in Gaza. Also, I guess we hate Jewish people now is how we end the war. They're just going along with it. And the reporter's asking them, why are you here? And you'll see they themselves have no clue. They're taking action, having no clue why. And again, you just got to think, on October 6th, how many of these college students knew anything about Palestine and Israel? How many of them were pro-Palestine for some reason before October 6th? I'm guessing 99% of them weren't. And if they were probably originally from that region of the world and had personal investment in the game. So let's take a look at a little sample section of what your money goes to when you send your kids to college nowadays. Here we go.
And what would you say is the main goal with tonight's protest?
I think the goal is just showing our support for Palestine and demanding that NYU stops. I honestly don't know all of what NYU is doing.
Is there something that NYU is doing?
I really don't know. I'm pretty sure they're... Do you know what NYU is doing? About what? About Israel. Why are we protesting here?
Palestine will be free!
I wish I was more educated. I'm not either.
Oh.
I came from Columbia. I was there up at Columbia, and we came down. They said NYU students needed our support. So I came down. I heard there's lots of cops. Some people were saying it was getting dangerous.
And what would you say?
That, my friends, is reason number 1,197 to not send your kids to college. Now, let's real quick get to reason number 1,198. Why not to send your kids to college? And this is, it'll seemingly be a completely different reason, but I think it's got the same root system. Saw this headline again from Dr. David, Eli David. He said, I thought this was a Babylon Bee headline. Unfortunately, it's not. Student gets into Stanford after writing Black Lives Matter on application 100 times. That, my friends, is higher education. And how does that relate to this, JP? Well, do you remember the Summer of Love 2020? It was beautiful. Just looked like it was 4th of July every day of the week with all the peaceful rioting going on, buildings being burnt down. And I think what's happening on college campuses has the potential to eclipse that. And do you think the Black Lives Matter protests were really about Black lives? Or was that the weaponized morality that baited people into participating in something that was maybe intended to help destroy the fabric of a beautiful country? Do you think people protesting on these college campuses really care about Palestine and really hate Israel for some reason? How many of them on October 6th were passionate about this? Probably about, there's some correlations here. Also correlations to people funding and organizing these protests. Ladies and gentlemen, I think, can we officially say colleges are indoctrination camps that you pay for? Wow. Wow. Yeah, I think it's, let's not wait around and have someone give us permission to say that's official. Like, I declared it. It's official. Colleges are indoctrination camps. And I think you should have a right to go to an indoctrination camp if that's what you want to do. If you want to send your kid to an indoctrination camp because that's what you want to do, Godspeed, you have the right to do that. I think it's it's just more helpful to know what they are. They're called something different. This is for your education. Well, why does it teach you what to think instead of how to think? Yeah, it's kind of 1984. Like if there's truth coming out on Twitter about certain things that threaten certain profits and certain agendas, you know how we call that misinformation? No, we don't, but they call it misinformation. They're calling truth misinformation. That's interesting. And they're calling those lies the official truthful narrative. Okay. It's 1984, right? We call things the opposite of what they are. Colleges, higher education, or do they lower your education? You be the judge. Now, before we get to what else is good, coming right up at the top of the hour. Who really killed Kennedy? I saw some footage that I think you're going to want to see. We'll get to that in a second. But first, I want to thank the sponsor of today's episode, 1775 Coffee. You don't see them sponsoring any kind of destructive protests now, do you? Are you a sleepy Joe who has zero cognitive performance, scared of walking upstairs without being worried you're going to fall down? Do you struggle to muster the focus and brain power for the basic things in life, such as eating ice cream or riding a bike, or staying awake when you're in a meeting in front of cameras with a world leader? You need to stop drinking woke liberal coffee and start your day by drinking Rumble's very own 1775 coffee. Never mind that it'll be the best tasting coffee you've ever had in your life, as in seriously good. I would call it severely good. I've been having it every morning. It's also ethically sourced from a family farm in the higher altitude mountains of Bolivia and roasted in Freedom, Florida. So instead of waking up tomorrow morning, let's take that again. So instead of waking up tomorrow morning and drinking your mold-infested, big corporation-owned woke ideology coffee that is probably making you sick from the pesticides sprayed with it's sprayed with, try Rumble's 1775 coffee. Support freedom of speech and build a parallel economy that actually values you. An economy that values you instead of uses you. Go to 1775coffee.com right now and pick up your first bag. Use the code AWAKEN to save 10% off your first order. Personally, my favorite roast is the medium dark Peaberry. You won't regret it for a moment. Level up your morning routine with a bag of 1775 coffee and sleep well at night knowing that your hard-earned dollars are going towards supporting freedom-loving creators like me on Rumble, not the woke mob. 1775 coffee helps you be awake, not woke. 1775coffee.com. Now, in my locals community live stream on Saturday, someone shared something with me. I'm going to share it with you right now about the JFK assassination. I truly was shocked when I watched this video. I'll leave the disclaimers for after the video, which, by the way, if you're not involved in my Freedom Lovers community on locals, I would love to have you. You'll see a red join button on your Rumble screen right now. You can click join. Come behind the scenes. Join me and the other Freedom Lovers. We all need community with like-minded, like-hearted people. And the Freedom Lovers community would be happy to have you if you are not a communist. So you can hit the red join button. By the way, if you are watching on YouTube right now, because we're streaming the first part of this to YouTube, we're going to cut it off in just a second. And if you think YouTube is just throttling us and ending it, you're probably right. But also, Dylan, can you end the YouTube live stream? Oh, before you do, if you're watching on YouTube, you'll want to go to my Rumble channel right now. Awaken with JP on Rumble. We're going to be doing the rest of the show there without stopping, and we're going to start with unseen footage of the JFK assassination. It shocked me. I wonder if it will you too. And I'll probably say spicy things that I can't say on YouTube. All right, you can cut it off YouTube now, Dylan. That's how you communicate.
We're out.